Hello, and welcome to this TaxCalc training video. In this video, we'll look at client onboarding and show you how to create a new client in our client management software, Practice Manager. We'll also go through the information you'll need to enter for that client and any other steps you'll need to take. If it's a brand new client, we'll need to create an online 64-8 and an engagement letter. As you can see, we're on the home screen. Everything to do with client management is in Practice Manager. We see a list of the clients on screen. If we click on Create Client Contact, there are two entity types, Client and Contact. A client is the entity for whom you'll be acting or preparing services. The Contact option could be a prospect or director for whom you don't act. We're going to set up an individual today. So click on Individual and then click Next. Now we're going to give the client a client code. This is mandatory as part of the database. Let's set up Mr. Martin here. We'll give him a salutation, date of birth, and any other information that's required. There's lots of error checking in TaxCalc. As you enter data into the system, it'll highlight if it's not in the correct format. Let's continue through. If the client is a sole trader, you'll need to set up the business at this point. We'll type that in here. We're going to enter what kind of business it is, whether it's trading, UK property, or foreign property. Year end is really important. When you enter the year end, the software will be able to perform data mining on year end dates. Once you've created the business, you'll be asked for PAYE information if the business employs staff, and its VAT registration details. Now that we're geared up for making tax digital, this selects whether you're enrolled for the MTD VAT regime or not. It's really important to put the quarters in, then the software can remind you when they come up. Let's move on to contact information. We'll type in a new home address. If the address is already in the system, we can pick it up from the address book, set it as the default address, and click Use. Telephone numbers and email addresses can also be stored, allowing you to email your clients through mail merge. Let's continue through. The client's bank details can be entered here if required. You can set a client status to New to identify clients that are with you for the first time. As we're setting up the client, we'll put the date of engagement in here. If you wish to assign a client to a partner's or manager's portfolio, you can do so here. You can also assign the client to an office. Here, we can show what bookkeeping provider the client currently uses, and finally, the method of payment we are expecting from the client. This area assists you in your GDPR compliance if you are looking to market to the clients. Simply add a new consent action, then select the type of consent that has been given, the status of consent which has been achieved, how the client agreed to that consent and the date, and finally, any particularly relevant notes to that client's consent status. We can keep track of the services that client takes, such as annual accounts, tax return, company secretarial, audit, bookkeeping, VAT returns, payroll, etc. We can see who it is offered to, their fee basis, expected fee, initial work in progress, and the default job template. You can create additional job templates and services in the Practice Manager Plus module. We can add an AML identity check or risk assessment record at this point. TaxCalc offers an electronic anti-money laundering search service that can be run through Equifax here. That can be added onto your account at any time. Using our AML Center can help you meet your obligations under the money laundering regulations, which apply to both your firm and clients. The AML Center will help in assessing the risks to your firm, keeping appropriate records, performing client due diligence, monitoring clients on an ongoing basis, and reporting on potentially fraudulent activity. The Relationships feature allows you to link clients and contacts together. If this client is a director of a limited company, we just search for the company in the list and enter the date of commencement of that relationship. If we click on this tick box, it shows all the possible relationships. We recommend setting these up, especially if using any company secretarial services with us. Let's carry on through. The Active Work page allows you to see jobs and tasks, key dates, and deadlines. Now let's click on Activate. We can then click on Activate a Job. We can see the service we created earlier, select it, and click Activate to activate the job. This will pull a template from the Practice Management Plus product. To start with, we can see the overview of the job from the About the Job screen. As you can see, the client we're working on has already been selected. Now we have to identify the piece of work the job is relating to. As this is a new client, there will be no work within the system. However, we can activate this easily here. Whether this is an individual customer, as we see in this example, or a company, the software will pick the correct work type, and you can simply create it here. Now we've created the work, the software picks the dates and will supply those to you based on the template created. As with most compliance tasks, there will be a recurrence. As you don't want to worry about activating these manually, TaxCalc will do this for you. Just let the software know how often this task is required. Most tasks automatically pick up the recurrence required by task type. However, if you wanted to set up a weekly phone call with a client, you'd need to let the software know. Within the job, we have separate tasks. These are the stages towards completion and have automations to assist you in ensuring visibility and control over your practice workflow. The service will be auto-populated here. However, you may need to make the software aware of the fee basis you wish to use. The summary will give you a brief overview of the job, and then you can click Finish. If there's a client of a sensitive nature, you can set a password here. This means no other users of the TaxCalc software will be able to access the client's records without the password. You can assign a password so any documents you create, like tax returns and accounts, will be password protected. This password will apply to any e-sign envelopes or encrypted PDFs generated for this client. The client will need to enter the password to access the documents. Client Notes lets you enter free-form text notes. For example, client wishes to incorporate the business next year. Click Finish and Save, and the client is entered. Because we selected the new option in the engagement status, we have the option to create a 64-8 and an engagement letter. The software brings up your list of templates. Select from the list. You may have your own templates in here. This will enter information from Practice Manager into Microsoft Word, merging it with the selected template. We can see the client's information populating the document. The sections in yellow are parts you may need to pay attention to. We're now onto the 64-8 and can fill in the services that we're providing. Go to Next Step to file online or print out. Filing online is similar to the process on HMRC's website. You submit the form and the client receives an activation code in the post. Once you have that from the client, you come back to this screen and activate it. That rounds off our preview of client onboarding. If you have any questions or want to find out more, please go to our knowledge base or contact our support team. To view other videos on the TaxCalc software, click the links above and below. Thank you.